Deep in the heart of Whisperwood lived a little rabbit named Hopscotch. Hopscotch was no ordinary rabbit. Oh no, not by a long shot. You see, Hopscotch had a heart full of wonder and a nose for adventure. He loved exploring the nooks and crannies of his forest home. One sunny morning, as Hopscotch hopped along a mossy log, he heard a giggle that sounded like tinkling bells. It seemed to be coming from the Whispering Willows, a grove of trees at the edge of the woods that the animals all avoided. You see, the animals believed the Whispering Willows to be haunted by a grumpy spirit who scared away anyone who dared enter. But Hopscotch, with his heart full of wonder, wasn't afraid. In fact, he was quite curious, so he twitched his nose and hopped right into the grove. As soon as he entered the clearing, the trees began to shake and their branches intertwined above him, forming a leafy roof that hid him from view. Then the strangest thing happened. The trees began to giggle, just like the sound Hopscotch had heard earlier, and they whispered among themselves, their voices rustling like autumn leaves. Startled but unafraid, Hopscotch called out, "Hello! Is anyone there?" A low voice creaked from above. "Who's that? Who's that in our woods?" Startled, Hopscotch looked up and saw a gnarled face peering down at him from between the branches. It had a long white beard and twinkling blue eyes. Hopscotch, remembering his manners, bowed his head and said, "My name is Hopscotch, and I live in the Laughing Brook. I only wanted to explore your woods." The face in the tree smiled. "Well met, young Hopscotch. I am the spirit of these woods." "I am the ancient willow." The other trees rustled in greeting. Hopscotch felt a surge of bravery and asked, "Ancient willow, why do the animals avoid this clearing?" "They say you are grumpy and scary." The ancient willow shook his branches in amusement. "Oh, my dear Hopscotch, that is just a silly rumor. We are not grumpy or scary. We are just different. And sometimes being different can be a little frightening. But I can see that you, Hopscotch, are not afraid of us. You are kind and brave, and because you have such a pure heart, I will grant you one wish." Hopscotch thought for a moment. He could wish for an endless supply of carrots or a cozy burrow. Those were nice thoughts, but something else was on his mind. He looked at the ancient willow and all the other trees around him and knew what he had to wish for. "I want to see the forest the way you see it, full of life and magic and wonder." The ancient willow's branches rustled with approval. "A noble wish, Hopscotch. You shall have it." With a wave of his leafy arms, the ancient willow transformed Hopscotch, making him smaller than a bumblebee, so tiny he could fit on the tip of a leaf. Then, with a final flourish, the ancient willow sprinkled Hopscotch with sparkling dust. And suddenly, the world exploded with color and sound. The trees rustled secrets to him in hushed voices. The flowers sang cheerful tunes as they swayed in the breeze. And the bushes giggled as if sharing an inside joke. Even the pebbles in the paths seemed to dance in the light. The forest was alive, vibrant, and magical. Hopscotch gasped with delight. He had never seen anything like it. He raced over a moss-covered stone and hopped into a patch of daisies, their soft petals tickling his nose. As he made his way deeper into the woods, he marveled at the sights and sounds around him. He came across a babbling brook where the water sparkled like liquid diamonds. And as he approached, he heard the most beautiful singing. At first, he couldn't believe his ears. It was a lullaby, sweet and gentle, like the tinkling of bells. Curious, Hopscotch followed the sound until he found a weeping willow tree by the brook. And under its drooping branches sat a family of hedgehogs, their spines glistening in the sunlight, fast asleep. Their mother had been singing to them, and now she opened her eyes and smiled at him. "Good day," Hopscotch said politely. "Hello, little one," the hedgehog mother replied. "Are you lost?" "I'm not lost," Hopscotch said proudly. "I'm exploring my forest, but I've never seen any of you before. We only come out when the moon is high in the sky," the mother hedgehog explained. "Ah, I see," Hopscotch said, realizing it was night time. He had been so captivated by the beauty of the forest that he hadn't noticed the sun dip below the horizon. The hedgehog mother yawned. "It's time for bed, little one. You must find somewhere to sleep before the night is over." Hopscotch looked around and saw a hollow log nearby. He thanked the hedgehogs for their hospitality and hopped into his new home for the night. As the darkness deepened, Hopscotch snuggled into his cozy den and closed his eyes. He dreamed of dancing flowers and singing brooks, of friendly hedgehogs and ancient willows. He had never felt so happy and at peace, but as the night wore on, he began to feel a little scared. All the forest sounds, the hooting owls and the rustling leaves, seemed to be whispering secrets in the dark. And the shadows danced and twisted, taking on all sorts of spooky shapes. Hopscotch huddled in the corner of his log, missing the safety of his burrow. Suddenly, he heard a loud crash in the trees and a deep voice boomed. "Who's there? Who's in my forest?" Startled, Hopscotch peeped out of his log and saw a pair of glowing eyes staring at him. "Mr. Bramble," he stammered, recognizing the gruff badger who lived in the forest. "What are you doing here, little rabbit?" Mr. Bramble demanded. Hopscotch took a deep breath and said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Bramble, but I couldn't find my way home in the dark, so I made a den in this log. You're in my forest," Mr. Bramble growled, "and you're disturbing my sleep." "I'm sorry, Mr. Bramble," Hopscotch said, trying to explain. But before he could say another word, Mr. Bramble lunged at him, his sharp claws extended. Hopscotch squeezed his eyes shut and waited for the worst. But instead of pain, he felt a warm, fuzzy feeling surround him. He opened his eyes and found himself floating above the forest floor. Looking down, he saw Mr. Bramble sniffing at him curiously. Then the forest around him began to fade, and he found himself back in the whispering willows, the ancient willow towering over him. The ancient willow rustled gently. "Your wish has brought magic to the forest, Hopscotch, and the magic is growing. But wishes have a way of changing things, and not always for the better. Sometimes the magic can grow out of control and bring harm to those around you." Hopscotch looked around and saw that the flowers had wilted and the birds had flown away. The forest didn't look so magical anymore. "Oh, dearie me," the ancient willow sighed, "it seems your wish has gone too far. You must find the source of the magic and undo what you have done before it is too late." Hopscotch knew what he had to do. He set off through the forest, determined to fix his mistake. He flew past startled squirrels and rabbits, over babbling brooks, and under shady trees. Finally, he reached a clearing where a group of woodland creatures were gathered. In the center of the clearing stood a majestic oak tree, its branches heavy with sparkling dust. Hopscotch recognized it as the source of the magic, but how could he undo it? Just then, a wise old owl flew down from a branch and perched on a nearby stone. "Little rabbit," the owl hooted softly, "you have caused great harm with your wish. To undo the magic, you must use the water from the moonlit spring and sprinkle it on the oak tree." Hopscotch followed the owl's directions and soon found the moonlit spring hidden deep within a cave. He dipped a leaf in the water and returned to the oak tree. Closing his eyes, he sprinkled the tree with the magical water. As the last drop hit the ground, the branches of the oak tree burst into bloom, showering the clearing with sparkling leaves. The animals cheered, and the clearing was filled with laughter and joy. From that day on, Hopscotch understood that even the best intentions could go awry. But he also learned that with courage, kindness, and a little bit of magic, anything was possible. And as for the whispering willows, well, they were never so whispering again, thanks to Hopscotch and his friends. The animals no longer feared the trees, and the forest was filled with the sound of their laughter and song. And that, dear friends, is the tale of how a little rabbit changed the magic of an entire forest forever. The end.